Hi, this is Anthony. Welcome back to the Gazelle Lab. Today I have the Galaxy Nexus against the iPhone 4S. This is the Galaxy Nexus, the unlocked GSM version, not the Verizon version. And I have the iPhone 4S, the 32GB version on Sprint. So let's get straight into this review. At first glance, you can tell the Galaxy Nexus just towers over the iPhone 4S. So obviously this is the iPhone 4S, which uses the same design queue as the iPhone 4. So you're in the same exact housing, same chassis as the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4 measures at 115 by 56 by 9.3 millimeters thin, while the Galaxy Nexus is 135 millimeters by 68 by pretty much 8.9 or 9 millimeters thin. So you can take a look at, they're almost very similar in thinness. This does have the nice curved glass display on the Galaxy Nexus, which is nice. Some may feel that the iPhone 4S, just the 3.5-inch screen, is too small, but it does still have that nice Retina display at 640 by 960 at 330 ppi in comparison to the 720 by 1280 pixels 4.6.5-inch display at 316 ppi. So both have brilliant and clear screens, just the Galaxy Nexus is a lot bigger. So if that's something you want the bigger screen, this is probably the best screen out there right now on an Android device. But the iPhone 4S still has that nice clarity that you get with the Apple device. So heading into this, like I said, this is a 32GB version, comes in 16 and 64. This has 16 gigabytes of built-in storage, 1 gigabyte of RAM. There's no micro SD expansion. HSDPA 21 megabytes per second. HSDPA, you're getting 14.4 megabytes per second. Obviously, this phone is on Sprint, so they're not getting the faster 3G service with the CDMA models, which is one little letdown for the iPhone 4S. But you can expect that to change with an LTE device, possibly coming next year. Don't take my word for that. Anyway, let's get into the rest of the view. Let's get into the rest of the body right here. You can tell from the back, the iPhone 4S is still nice, pretty solid build. Nice aluminum chassis, glass screen. The Galaxy Nexus feels, I'm not gonna lie, it does feel cheap. You know, once you take this plastic cover off, which is a real pain, and it's hard to get back on, you feel like it could snap on you. Just being one of the Nexus lines, I would like to see better build quality. But I think since Samsung took this over from HTC's always made solid phones, and Samsung's always, to me, it felt a little bit on the plasticky, cheap side. But nevertheless, it is a nice looking handset, and it does feel nice in the hand. It's very light at I believe it's 135 grams in comparison to 140 grams. So the iPhone I like because it's very solid. I wish the Galaxy Nexus, I could say the same thing about it, but nevertheless, it's still a great device. In terms of camera, you do have a 5 megapixel snapper on the Galaxy Nexus in comparison to a brilliant 8 megapixel camera on the iPhone 4S. The iPhone 4S is probably one of the best cameras in the industry right now. I think along with the HTC Amaze or the Resound, does take great quality pics. So you can tell right there. And it does take pics very quick too, which most Android devices in the past were very slow to processing images. The Galaxy Nexus is an exception to that. It does take pictures very quickly. You can see from that. So we can just look at these two pictures. Let's get one that's focused. You want to tap to focus. So, you know, they both have good quality right here, but once you get this on a computer, the Galaxy Nexus is not going to look as clear as the iPhone 4S. So, a little bit of a lackluster camera on the Galaxy Nexus, but you are getting Ice Cream Sandwich, which is the newest version of the operating system, pretty much the only phone that have it currently, or at least legally right now. And you are getting iOS 5.0 on the iPhone. So the latest and greatest in terms of Android versus iOS on both devices. So it pretty much comes down to two things: operating system and form factor. If you want a bigger screen, and you want a bigger device, you're stuck either looking into Android right now, or waiting for the next rendition of the iPhone, which possibly could have a bigger screen. If you're an Apple guy, you're heavily integrated into iOS. Obviously, you're probably going to go with the iPhone. You know, because you'll have iOS, you have it integrated with Apple TV, all your iTunes. Both are great devices. This is obviously the top Android device and the top iOS device head to head right here. So all your standard features are there. Great cameras, GPS, Bluetooth, 3G, HSDPA. Both are great devices. So in terms of, let's just one more thing about the processor. This has the Apple A5 dual-core chip, 1 gigahertz, compared to the dual-core 1.2, the TI OMAP 4480. It's a Cortex A9 processor. Both are very fast. It's very hard to determine the difference between the quickness of the processor. Possibly iOS does seem very, very smooth, and it makes the processor, just run, the whole Apple experience is very smooth. But the 1.2 processor on the Nexus is very nice as well. So both are very fast as well. Accelerometer, gyro sensor, compass, barometer, everything else you would expect in a top-end smartphone is here. So like I said previously, form factor and operating system, up to you. I hope you liked the review. Thanks for joining me on the Gazelle Lab.